Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the Ed Bugs Show.
Are you ready?
Real talk, real people. This is the show where people just like you get to talk about the news and what's really going on.
Shout here.
Along with show producer Matt Moscona.
Biggest names in talk radio.
They tackle some of the hottest, most controversial topics that affect your life.
I don't agree with them all the time, but I appreciate the discussion.
Buckle up and get ready. Now here's your host, Ed Bugs.
Go on the bump to QN.
Thanks, Matt Moscona, and welcome aboard, everyone. The Ed Bug Show, real talk, real people, hour 3 in radio. Good to have you here on 1550 AM WPFC, and welcome to those of you joining us on television and on the World Wide Web at edbugs.com. Matt, how are you, buddy? Hour 3, you ready to go?
Ready to go. Just getting off the weekend high, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, not high as in high, just, you know.
We understood the first time.
Okay, all right.
We were with you the first time.
Well, I just want to clarify.
Yeah, you ran how far? 10 miles? 13 miles?
3 Friday, 3 Saturday, 5 Sundays.
Oh,
so
yeah, 11 miles.
Getting back into the swing of running. You should come out one day. We'll go run the lakes.
Yeah.
We could do the.
How far is the lakes?
Well, it depends. There's a 3 mile, a 4 mile, a 5 mile, a 6 mile loop, or you can, get creative and go all the way up to, you can do 18-mile loops if you want. They actually have the marathon course for the Baton Rouge Beach Marathon, so we could do 13 or 26 if you'd like.
I got a better idea.
Okay.
I'll drain the water and the Gatorade. I have it iced down on the back seat. You go run. When you get to the 13-mile point,
Yep.
I'll be right there with the drinks ready
with
for
the
you.
Gatorade.
I'll be the guy standing there with the cup as you come running by.
What you're supposed to put it on your palm.
Okay.
Because if you hold it like that, there's
it'll
too much
go
of a
everywhere.
chance we'll hit and it'll go. Yeah, you hold it on your palm and you just let me take it.
All right.
That's how you do it.
I'll be there for
or
you, man.
Or you can set it up on a table, and as I run by, I can just.
I'll have the table set up.
Okay. Well, I just need one.
Yeah, right.
So you don't really
you
need
pick
a big
any one
table.
you want.
You don't need a big table.
I want to go put 3 out there. You pick either one you want.
Like maybe like a red and orange and a blue, maybe. Just depending on what I'm in the mood for.
Whatever. Where did I lose control of this? Way back
Probably about when you said, Matt, good weekend.
Yeah, well, I had a good weekend.
You should know by now. Oh, yeah,
I had
how
a
was
good
Avery
weekend.
Island?
I went to Avery Island in South Louisiana. I went as a child, 30-some-odd years ago. And
That's
jungle.
the last time you've been?
Yeah, Jungle Gardens.
30 years?
35 years.
Well, no wonder it wasn't the same as you remembered.
Yeah, but, I found I was reaffirmed at something this weekend. We just come and they have signs out, watch the alligators, alligators present, do not feed the alligators, okay?
Did you see him?
So, wait.
Oh, my bad.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
I'm going down, snaking down the road, and all of a sudden little David says, "Look, alligators, stop the car." Kathy says, "Stop the car, stop the car."
Stop the car!
I'm saying to myself, "Stop the car." I said, "Okay, all right, come on, be the responsible father. Be the nice guy." All right, so I pull the car over. The kid takes off running to the side. "Mama, look, Mama." She comes up with a camera, says, "Ooh, stand right there, stand right there." And I'm sitting by the car saying to myself, "Now, what's wrong with this picture?"
How big was the gator?
Well, they about like that
So it was just like a
size.
little baby one.
Yeah, it was 4
I
of
can
them.
still
But
do
wait, all I
4
could
of
see,
them?
but all you could see were the eyes. So I don't know how big it is. And she's over there with her son going, "When I stand right there by the edge," I'm saying to myself, "Now you see?"
In the water?
No.
They were on the land?
No, they were in the water.
Oh. Don't worry about that.
This alligator, man.
No, don't worry about that.
Okay.
Stay in the water.
All right. Okay.
They call me the crocodile hunter. You know that guy on the TV?
Goodbye, Matt.
I taught him how to wrestle
Taught him
gators.
everything he knows, right?
I sure did.
All right. The topic this hour is one we have been following for several days now. And many of you know I am a big Bush supporter. It's been hard lately, but I'm still in his corner. But I have been watching some interesting developments come along as my boy, it's tough right now. I'm being mild when I say to you, it's tough right now. The president started today a series of speeches that you and I are going to hear we're going to read about, we're going to see on television over the next 10 days, a series of speeches. The first one today. And the goal is that when these 10 days are over, you and I will have, the American public, will have a better sense of what's going on in Iraq. Why does it seem to be so bad when maybe it's not really that bad? And we will all feel better about this. I don't know. I really don't know. My question to you this hour is this. Do you feel there is anything the president can say that will improve your impression of his administration? Is there anything he can say at this point that will make you feel better about the war? Talk to me. Call me now at 499-BUGS, 499-2847, or shoot me an email. Send it now to ed@edbugs.com. Again, that's ed@edbugs.com. Let me share with you just a little bit. I'm not going to bore you with this, but just a little bit of what the president said today. He said that these perpetrators of violence in Iraq are trying to provoke a civil war to prevent democracy from blooming in the Arab nation. Well, I think we've pretty much figured that much out on our own. I know I have. Since the Sunni Golden Dome was blown up, and then a Shiite dome, mosque was blown up, and then a Sunni mosque, and then a Shiite mosque, and everybody got into an uproar and a fervor, and they're bombing each other's mosques, and we're on the brink of civil war. Let me tell you something. This was the last thing many Americans wanted to see. In other words, we made the commitment. We laid out the resources. Manpower, be it men and women, the military might on the ground, in the air, help in rebuilding the infrastructure. We laid out all the resources. But if these bad boys can't get along and break down into civil war, let me tell you something. Many Americans, even those who support the president, many of us are quickly going to ask the question, well, wait a minute. What are we doing over there? I'm not convinced that a series of speeches, though well intended, is what the American people want to see right now. It's tough right now being the president. It's tough right now speaking up for the president. It is hard. Suddenly I'm reminded of Colin Powell's comments to the president when he warned him not to go into Iraq. I'm reminded of that right now. Colin Powell said to him, do you really want to own 25 million people? Because if you go in there, you own them. I'm reminded of that right now. And I'm not saying cut and run. I'm not saying cut and run. But this idea of civil war, this deterioration that you and I have watched over the recent weeks of conditions and safety in Iraq, this is not looking good at all. So what do we do? And will this series, is there anything this president could say in these speeches that would make you rethink your posture? We're talking about it right now at 499-BUGS, 499-2847. That's in the 225 area code. Or shoot me an email. Send it now. Send it to ed@edbugs.com. Again, that's ed@edbugs.com. You're listening to the Ed Bugs Radio Show, live on 1550 WPFC.
Run. Yeah! Take cover. Hide the women and children.
Right here!
The Ed Bugs Radio Show is on the air.
Good!
Thanks, Matt, and welcome back, everyone, to the Ed Bugs Show. Real talk, real people. Thank you, Tommy. Good to have you here on 1550 AM WPFC. We're talking about the president's efforts to essentially to wrap his arms around us and, in so many words, assure us that it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right, okay? It looks a little rough right now, but it's going to be all right. And I am not oversimplifying. That is essentially what the president's goals are in the next week and a half. 10 or more speeches specifically aimed at turning around this downward spiral the president is seeing in his approval ratings. My question to you is, do you feel at this point there is anything he could say to turn that around? As for me and my feelings on the question, is there anything he could say? I don't think there is. I don't think there is. Look, there has been it's been a nightmare for the president over the past 2 months. You think about it for a moment. Just think about it for a moment. We had, we had the lowest job approval ratings in his history in the past 30 days, number one. Number two, we had the ports deal to go sour, which really disenfranchised a lot of Republicans. And gave Democrats a whole lot of ammunition. The third thing that happened for the president in the past several days, in the past month or so, several weeks for that matter, is that this increase in violence by these by insurgents in Iraq, such that we ended up with daytime curfews in Baghdad. That's right, don't leave your house curfews. So suddenly the American people began to ask, what's going on? I thought we were going in, taking Saddam out, helping them get their government together and getting the heck out. Well, before we can do this, it would appear at this point the country is falling apart. They're turning on one another. You know, I've had this theory that I've shared with you on this show. I've had this theory for some time now, and I think my theory is holding true. You have to have a certain level of, and I'm going to use this word sparingly, but I think you all will agree with me. You have got to have a certain level of civilization in your society before democracy will work. Let me say this again. You have got to, this is just my theory, okay? You have got to have a certain level of civility or civilization, or you got to have civilized people for democracy to work. Otherwise, you have jokers like you have in Iraq for whom if my party doesn't win, I'm picking up my gun. Well, that doesn't work in democracy. And in Iraq right now, you got a bunch of people who, if my side doesn't win, we're going to have a suicide bombing. If my side doesn't win, we're going to roll a car full of explosives right up to your front door. If my side doesn't win, we'll take out the leaders of the other side. Excuse me, fellas. Excuse me. That's not how it works. And as long as you have a nation of people committed to violence, it's not going to work. So, if you have a group of people who are not civilized enough for democracy to work, and you're trying to stuff democracy down their throats, I don't know. What would it look like if you did that? A lot like what we see today in Iraq. Shiites, Sunnis, not to mention the Kurds, who cannot come together long enough to get along. The basic concept of working together, I know that sounds basic, but, you know, it's got to be in you from a child. I had a brother, still do, a younger brother. And we're 3 years apart. And as brothers will do, we used to fight when we were kids. You know how kids will do. But this is all on the subject of Shiites, Sunnis, and Kurds getting along. One time, my brother and I were fighting. My mama got a switch. And boy, when mama had to get her own switch, oh, she was really hot. She got a switch, and she came in that bedroom, and I'll never forget, the whole whipping was on one chorus. Mama used to whip us. She used to get, when she was really upset, she'd give us a syllable whipping. Y'all know what a syllable whipping is? Matt, you know what a syllable whipping is? Huh?
Yeah.
You know what a syllable whipping
Gotten
is?
a few in my day.
Every syllable is a swipe with the switch.
Right, like with the word, yeah.
With the word.
Yeah.
And Mom came in the bedroom. I will take this to my grave. Mama said, you have got to get along. You are brothers. Don't you run from me. Don't you ever run from me. As long as you're black, don't you ever run from me. Stand right there. You have got to get along. You are, and that has to be in a child coming up. The same way with the Shiites, the Sunnis, and the Kurds. They've got to have some kind of conception of getting along. As long as they see each other as blood enemies, they'll never get along. We're wasting our time. And let me tell you something. The same way you and I are thinking about this right now, countless Americans from Malibu to Maine are having the very same thoughts. What I'm saying to you is this. At this stage in the game, Mr. President, my boy, I got your back, George, but at this stage in the game, it's not words the American people need. It's not words the American people want. What the American people need and want today, this moment, this instant, is action. It's too late for words. See, we listened to, this is going to be, we listened to the whole story. We bought it. We support it. I'm still behind the man. Let me be clear, because some of you will walk away from the television or from the radio today or from your laptop thinking, oh, man, he's a Bush hater. No, I am not a Bush hater. I am a realist. You think supporting the president, I feel good with approval ratings down in the 30s? You think supporting the president, I feel good that 80% of the American people feel Iraq will disintegrate into civil war? That's why he's doing the speeches. He's got to do those right now. Someone in the president's inner circle gets it. Someone in the president's inner circle gets it. You know what happened. They pulled him on the side. They said, George, psst, let me talk to you for a minute. Listen, right now, you have got to connect with the American people like you have never connected before. We're sending you out for a series of speeches. We want you to loosen your tie and talk to people and tell them, A, it's going to be all right. B, we got this. C, be cool. That's what these speeches are about. That's the message the president had better sell us on right now, or we're doomed. A moment ago, I told you about the calamities that were surrounding George W. Bush right now. There is another in this mix. 2006 is the congressional election year. Don't fool yourself. It really is all about politics. Many in the Senate and the House have actually been distancing themselves from the president over the ports deal. So many Americans contacted their congressman and said, what the heck is this all about? Whether it was good or bad, it was the image of an Arab government-owned company managing our ports. Whether it would have been safe or not is not the question. The question is the image, and it did not look good, feel good, or taste good, or smell good to the American people. So, Republicans in the House and the Senate had no choice but to distance themselves from the president. You want to be reelected or not? I got more to talk about this in just a moment. Am I on to something or am I missing it? Talk to me. Call me now at 499-BUGS, 499-2847. The question is, do you feel in this series of speeches coming up there is anything the president can say that will significantly improve, 1 minute? Okay. Significantly, I thought I had more than that. Less than that. Significantly improve his opinion or his standing, if you will, in the hearts and minds of Americans. Also, when we come back, I will read for you a bit, just a short smidgen of the president's speech today. I've also got, I see a couple of emails sent in to ed@edbugs.com. Again, that's ed@edbugs.com. I will share them with you next. I'm telling you, the president has his work cut out for him. I think for these speeches, they shouldn't be written. There should be bullet points. And just, George, shoot from the hip and level with the people. We want to see a relaxed, we want to see a confident, we want to see an in-charge George Bush. I'll pick it up right here when we come back on the Ed Bugs Radio Show. Nobody move.
It's In Your Face Talk Radio.
Guys, what is the 411?
The Ed Bugs Radio Show is here.
Tell me everything.
Thanks, Matt. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ed Bugs Show. Real talk, real people. We're at the bottom of the hour. Good to have you here on 1550 AM WPFC. Talking about the president today beginning a string of speeches aimed at winning public confidence that the train is not rolling off the tracks, so to speak, as it pertains to what's going on in Iraq right now. And I'll tell you something, if you haven't picked it up in my dissertation so far, my heart goes out for the president. This is look, at this point in the game, most Americans, I feel, fall into one of three categories. One of three. Those who never did approve of the war, those who still approve of the war like me, but then there's that other group, and I got one leg in that other group, and that is the group that's feeling, whoa, man, what's going on here? That's how I feel. This is not a question of supporting what the president, the move we made. Based on that information, I think I would have made the same move too, except for when Colin Powell, a war veteran, said, you don't want to do this. That's when I really would have had severe trepidation about moving forward, severe second thoughts, severe, wait, say what now? Yeah, Colin was informed. I don't know how many of you remember this. Matt and I were on the air when this happened, when Colin Powell, who at that time was Secretary of State, Colin Powell, was informed by the president of his decision to go into Iraq. And if many of you will recall, it was Colin Powell who said, and I'm paraphrasing at this point, but these words I am sure of, he is quoted as having said to the president, remember, if you do this, you will own 25 million people. Do you really want to do that? But that's milk way downstream. Today, what we all have to deal with, whether you supported the war like I did or not, the reality is if Iraq blows up, what do we do? And that has caused deep consternation, deep fear in Americans. 80% of us, look at the most recent poll, 80% of us are afraid Iraq is about to disintegrate into civil war. So the president's mission right now, beginning today, and I'll share some of his words with you, his mission now, his role, his scope, his focus is to, as I said earlier, put his arms around us and say, okay, y'all, look, I know it doesn't look good, but you just got to hang in there with me right now. It's going to work out. Some of what the president said today included, we saw the leadership of Sunni and Shia clerics who joined together to denounce the bombing and call for restraint. Iraq's leaders know they must put aside their differences, reach out across political, religious, and sectarian lines, and form a unity government that will earn the trust and confidence of all Iraqis. Well, you know what? That sounds good. But let me give you an analogy. These people have been fighting for thousands of years. You think all of a sudden, because we asked them to, they're going to come together, hold hands, skip down the street, and sing Kumbaya? I don't think so. I don't think so. Something else. Right now, another speech about freedom and democracy, that's not what the American people need. That's what I call a high-altitude speech. Freedom and democracy. We don't need a high-altitude speech. What we need now is some down-to-earth talk. That's what we need now. No hype, no smoke and mirrors. The American people want you to look us in the eye and talk to us right now. And tell us your fears because we have ours. This is not a Superman speech time. No. Time for that is over. And you know what? We are approaching, and Matt, the fellow in the 2 hours ago, in the 2 o'clock hour, alluded to this when he said many Americans have even forgotten we're at war now. Remember he said that?
It was Todd.
Todd who said that. He said many have even forgotten we're at war now. We are coming up, believe it or not, on the 3-year anniversary of the beginning of this war. 3 years. And I must tell you, even Americans who are for the war are beginning to scratch their heads and say, as they slap their watches, how long is this thing? How long is this going to last now? And to be this far into the game and only now to find out that the Sunnis and the Shiites are like cats and dogs, oh no. This is the last thing we needed to see. And this is what the president is out to make us feel better about over the next 10 days. Will it work? What do you think? Do you feel there is anything the president could say in these speeches that will, engender or bring about that warm and fuzzy feeling? I'm afraid there may not be. Now, regardless to what he says in the speeches, I'm going to support him. He is my dog in this race, so to speak. But right now, I'm not convinced it's another speech the American people need. The American people want to see action. We've had speeches up to here. Freedom and democracy, we're all for you, George, but we need some action. One of two things has got to happen, and it needs to happen real soon. When we come back, I want to share with you my opinion of the two things, one of each. One of these two things needs to happen in Iraq and needs to happen quickly. Don't forget, later this year, we have congressional races all across America. And I'm telling you, the American people want answers. Stand by. I'll pick it up right here in just a second. My number to call, 499-BUGS, 499-2847.
Not exactly talk radio for people who don't want to hear the truth.
Time has come to make a choice. Let me hear some.
Ed Bugs, locked and loaded and on your radio.
Thank you, Moscow. Welcome back, everyone. Good to have you here on the Ed Bugs Show. Real talk, real people. That's his nickname, Moscow. That's the nickname we gave him here on the show. Yeah, that's okay.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Moscow, as in Moscona. Get it?
You do give me a little Moscow every now and again.
Moscow every now and then.
Every now and again you drop that.
That's right. For those of you just joining us, perhaps only now turning on the radio, we're just taking a step back from what's happening in front of us. I am fond of saying on this show, there is the news, and then there is
Ed's opinion. What Ed considered truth.
No, there's the news, and then there is
Ed's rhetoric.
No. I'm going to get you, boy. I'm going to get you. There's the news, and then there's what's really going on.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
What's really going on.
No, this man and I have been doing this show together for 3 years. You think he doesn't know that? You think he doesn't know the answer?
I know the next word that's going to come out of your mouth.
This is a Catholic high graduate. You think he doesn't know the answer? Of course he knows the answer. We're talking about the fact that the president will spend the next 10 days on a mission He will spend the next 10 days getting in front of people just like you, delivering speeches. And I'm not sure I'm not convinced this is a bad idea. One thing that many Americans will tell you they want more of is accessibility, or the feeling of accessibility. They want to, just talk to me. Tell me what the heck's going on. I see civil war, literally, in Iraq. I see declining poll numbers. I see a horrible federal response to Katrina. I see Republicans in the House and Senate who are taking a step back from you as a result. I see the port deal. Come on, there's a barrage going on right now. The more you think about it, this might be the perfect time for the president to set off across the country, delivering speech after speech after speech. Maybe it will make a difference. Let's look at some of your emails now sent in to ed@edbugs.com. JR writes, Ed, I know what the president can say to improve his image. I quit. I would love to see that. And according to the polls, so would about 65% of the country. JR. Oh, JR, it's not 65%. And I think, JR, you may be confusing job approval ratings and want him to quit. They don't want him to quit. Harold sends another email. He writes, Ed, I think Bush has fallen victim to a press that simply doesn't like him. Bill Clinton lied under oath and cheated on his wife. The man was impeached, for God's sake, yet people still love Bill Clinton. From 9/11 to the war in Iraq to Hurricane Katrina, the Bush administration has had to deal with more adversity than any previous president in history, with the possible exception of Lincoln. Despite dipping poll numbers, only history will judge Bush's success or failure. Harold. And finally, this email from Meg, who writes, Ed, for me personally, I would like to see Bush outline in detail our successes in Iraq. If we have built schools, tell me how many. Let me see pictures of them. If they have trained Iraqi soldiers, tell me how many. Well, that's available. She also writes, let me see video of them training. If they have captured al-Qaeda leaders, provide a list and their title. I think if the administration quantifies the success, it will be overwhelming to the American people, and his numbers will again begin to spike. War is ugly, but renew our sense of purpose as a nation, and we will be behind you. Meg, thank you. And a moment ago, I talked about Colin Powell's quote. Thanks, Matt. I talked about Colin Powell's response to the president after the president informed Colin Powell that he was going into war. Powell's remarks are, and I quote, you are going to be the proud owner of 25 million people. You will own all their hopes, aspirations, and problems. You'll own it all. I think that was an ominous warning. Many of you know Colin Powell was not in favor of us going into Iraq. He wasn't. And nonetheless, we did. And those were the words of Colin Powell. Now, I said to you a moment ago, at this point, there are two things that must happen in Iraq, that will happen in Iraq. Either one of these two had better happen, and had better happen quickly, for our president to salvage this presidency. Two things. What, do I have time? No? Okay. When we come back, quickly, I've got one segment left. I will share these two with you, and I think you will see quite obviously when I share these with you, that the president is, I'm telling you, either one of these two situations need to happen, and they need to happen quickly. You still have time to get an email in. It's ed@edbugs.com, or a phone call at 499-BUGS.
The kind of talk radio your mama warned you about. The Ed Bugs Radio Show is on the air.